I can't take it. I've got to get a copy of Stray on PS5, but I don't feel like driving to a game store and Amazon is too slow. I wish there was a way I could be unproductive and do it immediately. Yeah, that works. Online console shops are a thing we're all fairly used to by now. Being able to just turn on your system and download a new game on the spot is really convenient. But for a while, that wasn't an option. If you wanted a new game, you'd have to go to Irrelevant and Dead. Yeah, you were kinda limited on options when you wanted to buy a new video game. You could sometimes order video games via magazines if you really didn't want to leave your house, but most of the time, you'd have to go to a store. But that was until Sony, Nintendo, and Microsoft decided that gamers should be able to contribute less to society and download games. What if your house is too full of games, but you just can't help yourself? I could go for a copy of Mario Tennis right about now. With the PS3, Xbox 360, and Wii, you could just download your games straight to your console. The online shops for these systems were really good, all things considered. The Xbox 360 let you download arcade games. Those were just indie games or classic arcade games. The PS3 had PS1 and PS2 games. It even had some games you think would get looked over. They had some Shin Megami Tensei games, Toy Story 2, and Gex, just to name a few. The Wii was almost worse than the competition, but managed to have a good store overall. Unlike the PlayStation or Xbox, the Wii couldn't download big releases like Mario Galaxy or Twilight Princess. If you wanted new games, you'd have to drive to a store. But what they did offer was a mountain of retro games. The Wii had NES, SNES, N64, and more systems games that could be bought and downloaded at any time. So overall, this was a really good way to get people into the idea of buying games digitally. Surprisingly, the Xbox 360 and PS3 shops are still open. We all know the Wii shop is sadly closed, and the PS3 store is atrociously slow. It took me 2 days to download Beyond Two Souls. I think I've seen Overwatch 2 games load faster than that. But with new consoles releasing, that must mean the online stores are getting better. The PS4 store looks the exact same as the PS3. To be fair, the PS3 layout was actually pretty good. You had multiple tabs for games on sale or specific genres. I can see why Sony would replicate it with the PS4. The Xbox One store did a similar thing as the PS4. In my opinion, the Xbox 360 store was a little unorganized, but they cleaned up their act with the new one. Even the Wii U had a pretty good shop. You could finally download new games like Splatoon or Mario Kart 8. They even had separate tabs for each Nintendo franchise like Mario or Zelda. Nintendo also brought back the Virtual Console and added some new systems like the Game Boy Advance and DS. I'm honestly really glad they did this. Games like Fire Emblem Blazing Sword and Mario Kart DS felt like home console games, so now being able to play them on your TV is perfect. As we all know, with the release of a new console means bigger games. Except if you're Nintendo. I'm still trying to figure this out. Now that these newer consoles can handle more graphically demanding games, these file sizes can get crazy big. Red Dead 2's file size can take up almost an entire PS3's internal storage. Since the PS3 and Xbox 360 had fairly small internal storage compared to today, most people would still buy their games physically. You could download your games, but your storage might run thin after a little while. But with the PS4 and Xbox One, you're downloading something no matter what form you buy your game in. This is one small issue I have with newer consoles. Even if you buy the disc, you still have to download it. I completely understand this is to make games run better, but man is it annoying to have to wait for a download after you pop in your copy of Harvest Moon Mad Dash. With the PS4, the game installs pretty quick. It usually takes a minute or two, but the Xbox is notably slower. It took me 20 minutes to download Super Monkey Ball. I think me and many other people wonder what's the point of buying physical games if we have to download it anyway. The way it was before felt more balanced. Physical and digital had its advantages and disadvantages. Luckily for us, the Wii U and Nintendo Switch kept the balance that existed before. You don't have to download the physical versions of most games. Digital physical games scare me. I'm sure you've seen these around before. Switch games that either don't come with a cart because they have a download code or require portions of the rest of the game to be downloaded. Most Telltale games on Switch have the first episode on the cart but require you to download the rest of them. With these, it's fine enough, you save some space since the first episode is on the cart, it's fine, it's cool, I don't want to talk about it. But games like Overwatch that don't have a cart are really confusing to me. I understand you want a retail presence, but I think one of those download cards would have the same effect. Now some random fish is gonna choke on this just so Nintendo can sell a copy of LA Noire. While I'm personally more of a physical games person, you can get some good stuff for pretty cheap during sales on the online shops. There have been plenty of times where I got a game and its DLC for dirt cheap during a sale. I think we can all see that most forms of media are going digital now. Movies, music, books, things like that. And digital is just more convenient. Being able to buy the newest Final Fantasy at the click of a button is just easier for most people. But I think physical games will always be present. Things like misprints, swappable covers, and rare games are always just a treat to find and look for. I just bought Mario Kart 8 digitally for 60 bucks. I'm not too worried about it, I'm sure it's that expensive everywhere else. Oh.